Time now for the business news then with our business editor, Charlotte Pellegrin. And we're going to be starting with a look at the summit for a new Global Financial Pact, which will be taking place here in Paris on Thursday and Friday. Charles.
That's right, Erin. This summit is meant as a forum to reimagine the global financial system in order to better meet the challenges of climate change, especially as over 50 countries are currently in or near debt distress, while 12 heads of state, including Joe Biden, French President Emmanuel Macron, Senegal President Macky Sall, Lula, and Cyril Ramaphosa, signed a letter published in French daily Le Monde this Wednesday calling for a just and inclusive climate transition, saying, "We want a system that better addresses development needs and vulnerabilities now heightened by climate risks, which could further weaken countries' ability to eliminate poverty and achieve inclusive economic growth." Well, with the international community off track in its goal of limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial temperatures, an expert committee at the UN estimated that developing nations, apart from China, will need to spend more than $2 trillion a year by 2030 in order to respond to climate and biodiversity crises and to continue to invest in development. So what could this summit bring to the table? Among the proposals that will be discussed to overhaul global financing are taxing the carbon emissions of the global shipping industry, which represents 2.9% of the world's emissions, but is largely untaxed because it operates in international waters, or the long-discussed idea of imposing a tax on global financial transactions. It's worth noting that there are previous commitments that still haven't been honored, especially the pledge made by developed nations of $100 billion annually by 2020 to help developing nations cut emissions and boost climate resilience, which was agreed to at the last COP. Now, in the U.S., President Joe Biden convened a group of tech leaders on Tuesday to discuss what he says are the risks and enormous promises of artificial intelligence. His administration is looking at how best to regulate the sector, balancing potential for economic growth with other concerns over national security, economic disruption, or misinformation. Take a listen.
In seizing this moment, we need to manage the risks to our society, to our economy, and our national security. My administration is committed to safeguarding America's rights and safety, from protecting privacy to addressing bias and disinformation, to making sure AI systems are safe before they are released. Last October, we proposed an AI Bill of Rights to ensure that important protections were built into the AI systems from the very start.
Let's take a look at what's happening on the stock markets. We're seeing mixed trading in Europe at the open this Wednesday. In the UK, the FTSE down almost 0.2%. Inflation there in June stayed at the same level as May at 8.7%, higher than what was expected. UK Finance Minister Jeremy Hunt using this to say that the UK needs to stick to its guns when it comes to its monetary policy of raising rates. And in Asia, we're seeing the Hang Seng in Hong Kong trading lower, down 2%, dragged down by healthcare and tech stocks, Alibaba in particular falling after a leadership shakeup was announced. Now, could flying taxis one day be buzzing all across European skies? That's the ambition of several startups that are presenting highly advanced prototypes this year at the Paris Air Show. Among them, Volocopter, a German company which is aiming to get its aircraft up and running for the Paris Olympics in 2024. Clémence Waller reports.
Could it be the future of inner-city transport? Meet the Velocity, the very latest prototype of flying taxi with a maximum speed of 110 kilometers per hour, 2 seats, 18 propellers, and all powered by electricity. A technological feat tested for a year and a half in the Paris region and is the culmination of some $600 million of investment. It makes virtually no noise and is very easy to handle, according to this pilot.
It has a very clever digital flight control system. So the irony is for helicopter pilots, they will have to unlearn many very clever skills and learn to fly an aircraft simply again, because it's much simpler to fly than, say, a helicopter.
The vehicle is the brainchild of the German company Volocopter, who wants to not only sell its devices, but also create a similar service to taxi booking apps. So far, the company has already 300 pre-orders from private companies to jointly operate the flying taxis.
We see the competition on the taxis on the ground. So we want to relieve the congestion that I have witnessed today when going here to Le Bourget, or I witness when I go from the airport downtown. It takes me 2 hours. On those routes, I want to fly in 20 minutes, emission-free.
The company hopes to obtain the green light from the European Aviation Safety Agency in 2024 so that it can operate its first commercial flights during the Olympic Games in Paris. All that remains is for the authorities to define a new airspace highway code. Other companies such as Archer or Ascendance Flight Technologies are also honing in on the flying taxi market, each receiving hundreds of orders for their own devices. Whether or not flying taxis become as easy to take as an Uber remains to be seen. However, one thing is for sure, the aerospace industry is taking their potential very seriously.
And that's it for the business news. We'll have a special edition of our weekly business program, People in Profit, at the Paris Air Show at 4:45 p.m. Paris time on Thursday.
Charles Pellegrin with Business. Thank you very much.